Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. And as you can see, I'm going to be doing a deck profile for Trafalgar D Waterloo, one of, if not the most interesting, fun, technical decks in set 1. The skill cap on this deck is high, man. There is a lot you can do with it. The skill floor is high as well, but I think this is absolutely one of the best and most interesting decks to play with in set 1. This is going to be my early list, and certainly I do think there are changes that can be made, but I do want to say this deck is really fun and I highly recommend giving it a go. Though if you do want to build it and you want to max rarity it, this is probably the most expensive deck in the game to max rarity by a significant margin. I will be bringing you a max rarity deck profile at some point in the next few months when my friend has all his stuff, because I ain't got the money for that. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with one of the best decks in this game. So one thing you need to have with Lore is you need to establish a board really quickly. As a result, you are playing a lot of 1-drops. We've got 4 copies of Chopper. We got 4 copies of Otama. We got 4 copies of Nami. We got 4 copies of Jewelry Bonnie. We got 4 copies of Beige. So let's go ahead and talk about all of these, this whole suite of 1-drops here. So Beige and Chopper are your sort of chump blockers, right? You need these to deal with big attacks that you don't want to be throwing cards away on, but they serve a second purpose in this deck of actually starting to get your advantage engine going by letting you use your Lore's effect. Now, what are the other cards we have here? Well, Jewelry Bonnie lets you look at the top 5 and add a Supernova. That is something like 35 cards in this deck, so you're not going to whiff. And then we got Nami to check top 5 for Straw Hats, cheaper than Jewelry Bonnie because you get it immediately on play. You don't have to tap or rest it, though she can't add copies of herself, so there are less targets. So both of these are amazing cards giving you advantage. And of course, with Lore, you can bounce them, replay them, get their effects on multiple times. You can get a very big hand with this deck. Finally, Otama. This is here because you need to out 8-cost Kid, because if you don't, you lose. And so you want to be saving this for the 8-cost Kid most of the time. There are exceptions. Let's now move on to the 2 costs. So here I've got 4 copies of Neko Mushi. This is an amazing card. Being able to, so obviously you can start establishing your board for your Lore effect by playing this early game, and then use your leader attack to start clearing off really annoying threats that you don't want your opponent to have access to. And you can also use this to deal with really annoying blockers later on in the game, so you can hit stuff you really need to. Neko Mushiing a chump blocker and then being able to get over an 8-cost Kid is really nice when you don't have the Otama Jet Pistol combo. Then we got 4 copies of Brook. This is a 2k counter, but this card is nice in this deck because you can play it. It's free because you're moving the Dons around, and then you can use this to trigger your Lore effect. So it can be a really efficient way of doing that. Then we have got 4 copies of Rush Zoro. This is absolutely an aggressive variant on the Lore take, and I just think that it's so phenomenally powerful to be able to play down a Zoro, swing with it, and then Lore effect bounce it back to hand, play a 5-cost Lore, bounce something else, play the Zoro out again, and give it another swing. This one card can turn into 2, 3 attacks potentially with another combo. But yeah, phenomenally powerful card. Then I've got 2 copies of Robin. I think this was at one time one of the best cards in the game. It is worse now because players have moved around, have learned to build around it, have learned to play around it, and it has become a card that people deck build with this in mind. So there are just less targets in the game in general. That being said, this is phenomenally powerful. You combo this with an Otama, suddenly you're hitting 5k power or less, and that's a lot of cards. So this is still a really, really good card by all means. Then I play 1 copy of Killer. I do just like having the option to remove my opponent's Rush Zoro or something, or obviously being able to rest something and with Neko Mushi and then killing it with Killer is another nice combo. And again, you can get all these cards back to your hand, so these kind of combos are far more consistent in this leader. Then we've got 4 copies of the MVP of this deck, Trafalgar Lore. The room shambles going crazy. So this is a 6k blocker, which in itself is really, really nice. But on top of that, the on-play to bounce something and then play a 3-cost, you can bounce your rested cards you don't want your opponent attacking. You can play out attackers. You can, bounce your units that have on play to use them again. You can bounce your 2k counters so that you have more defensive capability. This card does it all. It is absolutely outstanding and the heart and soul of the deck. Then we've got 2 copies of another absolutely outstanding card that wins you a lot of games, and that is Monkey Nikadi Luffy. Fucking love this guy, man. This card steals games. as a 6k. So firstly, understand you can cheat this out with lore effect. So let's get that out of the way, right? Additionally, Brook can make the dons that go onto it free. So that's something. But mainly, lore cheats us out. You play this for 2. You could slap 8 dons onto this after lore effecting it out, and then just go face and swing for game if your opponent isn't expecting it. This card is so good. There's a lot of blockers in the meta, and on average, one hand is going to be 1k counter in your opponent's hand. On average, it's usually less. So this guy can really demand they drop their entire hand or they just lose. So powerful. Then I've got this little suite of one-ofs here because they are all searchable as they are all supernovas. So I've got one of this 5-cost lore that restands one of your rested supernovas. So you can imagine the scenario where you swing with Luffy and then you play out a lore and then you restand the Luffy, being kind of crazy. Also, you can restand the Zoro. That's also kind of crazy. I play 1x Drake. Again, this card is really powerful. Being able to pop 4-cost or lower, very nice into the Doffy matchup, but nice into most matchups. 4-cost or lowers tend to attack quite a lot or be rested quite a lot. And again, combos with Nekomushi, where you can Nekomushi and then play an X Drake, just nuke something. And then I play 1 Hawkins. This card is such high value. Like, it's so good. But it doesn't synergize with this deck as well, where you want to be doing lots of bouncing, you want to be doing lots of shenanigans. But if you establish Hawkins, your opponent doesn't immediately out it with like a jet pistol or something, oh man, that can be pretty freaking crazy. On to the last unit card in the deck, and that is Useless Captain Mid. Just kidding. Somehow in this game, he is actually not. He is useful Captain Wid, because he only gets dubs, man. This card is crazy good. I don't think I need to explain just how meta warping this guy is. I've seen a lot of lore lists that don't play this card. I just think it's so good at, like, just giving you a wall your opponent suddenly has to deal with, that it kind of derails their game plan while they deal with it and just gives you time to kill them. It's really good. Finally, the events. I played 2 copies of Jet Pistol. You can play up to 4 of this. I might move this up to 4. At the moment, it's working fine for me, but I think this is a very easy card that you could increase the quantity of. I'm also playing 2 copies of Gum Gum Fire Fist Pistol Redhawk, which is definitely a name. And you could easily just swap these into this. I really do like this card, though. Your opponent oftentimes just doesn't play around it. And being able to just go, okay, yeah, pop your thing. Because this doesn't target rested things. So your opponent, if they attack in the wrong order or something, this is really good. Now, other amazing inclusions here, you could play Radical Beam, which is a 4k for 1 later on in the game. You can just play more Jet Pistols. You can play like a whole host of other options. But and I think that's my favorite part about this deck, because the core for lore is pretty hefty. It's like 30 to 35 cards. You can't really change. But the 15, you can really do whatever you want. You can play these one-offs because they are all searchable. You can do a huge amount of things, and that's one of the reasons I really do love this deck, and it's absolutely one of my favorites to play, and I really am hoping to take it to a tournament at some point soon. I took Kid to my first locals, but I could see myself taking Lore to my second. That's it for this video. I hope you guys found it useful. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Please do let me know what you think in the comment section down below, any changes you would make, your opinions on the deck. Please do subscribe to the channel for many more deck profiles that will be coming. Card analysis, card reviews, tournament analysis, tier lists, all that sort of stuff. I really do appreciate the support. And if you are interested in any other card games, such as Battle Spirit Saga, Gate Ruler, or Lorcana, I make videos on those too. Though recently it has pretty much just been One Piece, because man, I love this game. Thanks so much for watching once again, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Cheers.